It's like I when I took a gap year, I had an end goal at the end of it. I did. It varies for everyone, but I personally had a goal. So it actually made you a lot more patient and understanding, and that things take their own time, and you just have to be in the moment and enjoy life. So I think that's really great.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to another edition of Out of the Box. I'm Naveen, co-founder of Beyond 8. For those of us joining us in Out of the Box for the very first time, this is our third edition of our second season. In the first, this season, the first season, we talked a lot about understanding our own children, and the episode last week was focused a lot on tuning into our children's mental health and being aware of the red flags before they cause any concerns. You may have seen our earlier sessions. If you haven't, just I encourage viewers to go to our YouTube site and look at those videos. Our viewers have participated with a lot of enthusiastic engagement, so I want to thank all the participants, the audience on our Facebook Live site. The out-of-the-box sessions are designed to inspire and motivate viewers to challenge the status quo, stay innovative, and become lifelong and life-wide learners in their learning journeys. Today we have a live wire session, right? We have three fantastic, super special guests with us. Each of their learning journeys, forays into arts, entrepreneurship, innovation, and it's really a testament of the fact that every learner is unique and every learner is best enabled when they seek unique learning pathways and experiences that they sort of cherish and enjoy and seek out themselves. And when those learners pause, think, reflect, and take the time to understand themselves and the choices they make, then we see them telling stories like what we're going to be listening to today. So I'm really excited about the stars that we have. But a little bit before we get into the conversation with them today, I just want to, it's worth mentioning here that all three of them are entrepreneurial also because of their families. These young stars we have with us are powered by parents that push themselves and their children towards standing up, asking questions, and worrying less about the status quo. They recognize the value of critical thinking over, just pleasing others or society. And when families believe in their children, we will see the creators and producers. We will be seeing these stars today, not just mere consumers of what a curriculum or an institution can provide. Children following their dreams are open to experiences and adapting to what they come across. They just don't, listen to somebody else to decide their futures. They think a lot about what they do, and they seek real and meaningful experiences. And they're not seekers of mere certificates. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the necessity of bridging the gap between high school and college. Today, more than ever, enrolling in a college immediately after school is not only foolhardy, but it's also dangerous because there's enough data around how over 52% of students who enroll in college immediately after school don't go on to complete their college education ever. And they spend an exorbitant amount of time and money pursuing subjects they found uninteresting to begin with. Thankfully, more and more families are backing their children's passions and interests and gifting them a bridge year of sorts after school to figure out their interests and learn about themselves. Like the three stars we have with us today, we'll see, can we have the three of them with us now, please? Thank you. Welcome to all three of you. Like the three stars we have today with us, we're seeing an increasing number of learners making conscious choices to pause, reflect, and pursue a formal education only after, they've spent a lot of time in learning about their own interests first. So without further ado, let me introduce our stars for today. Divu, say hi, Divu.
Hi.
Divya, Prahladh, and Namya, thank you all three of you for being with us to speak on Out of the Box today. Your stories and your journeys are very, very important, and they must be shared with more young people reconsidering their high school and college years, right? So Divya is pursuing many, I'm going to just introduce for the benefit of our audience, each of you individually. Divya is pursuing many interests and developing a range of skills. She's excuse me. She's involved in designing sessions using music, culture, and art sessions for the children at Snehadara, a wonderful NGO that works with persons with special needs using the arts. Divya has been working with various groups of children, and her expertise is in especially working with 2 to 6 year old children. Besides her work at Snehadara, she's also doing an online course on international women's health and human rights. She's worked with pre-primary children at Annaswamy Mudaliar School in Bangalore earlier. She pursues Hindustani and Carnatic music as well as Kathak dance. She's even set up her own venture. It's called Kutti Kutti Asai, Handmade Arts and Crafts. Like all of us that know Divu, I'm certainly looking forward to all the wonderful things she's going on to do in the years to come. Our next guest is Prahladh. Hi, Prahladh. Thank you for being here with us today. Prahladh graduated from Beyond Aid at HLC just this year, and he is already working on a product that might become immensely valuable to society. His product is called Be Cool Masks. His interests lie in the field of physics and engineering, and he's using this knowledge and skill in these two domains to develop solutions that will have large-scale impact for society. In this period that after high school, from March to now, he has spent his time developing a very unique product. Like I said, Be Cool Masks. He intends to mass produce these masks and get it to as many people as possible. We will let you hear from him directly later on in this show about the masks that he's developed. Thank you again, Prahladh, for being with us. Our third star here is Namya. Hi, Namya.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. She's currently pursuing masters in bio-entrepreneurship and joins us from on a cold morning in Sweden, I take it. She's an entrepreneur in the making. She finds herself driven to creating positive impact in the healthcare industry. She's been very passionate for some years about this domain. Brainstorming and pitching ideas intrigues her a lot. She's a big proponent of women's empowerment and social inclusion. I hope the audience too gets to hear about all the other things she does. She's just full of so many different things. She calls herself just a happy soul, baking and dancing in her free time. Namya pursued a bridge year with Beyond 8, learning to be a marketeer, a project planner, a designer, a team builder, and all that she might need as a young entrepreneur. So, I look forward to all that you go on to achieve, Namya, and thank you for being here with us today. I'm going to request all three of you to respond to the same set of three questions for the benefit of the audience, getting three different perspectives. Excuse me. I invite the audience to also ask other questions based on the time available today. I'll certainly try and have these also included, and I request our young stars to respond to them. The first question I have today is, why did you choose a gap year? Where do you think, what were you thinking, and what were your considerations? Maybe we could just go in the order of, each time a different order. So I'll start with Prahladh, go on to Divu, and then to Namya. Go ahead, Prahladh.
So I decided very early on, even before 12 started, that I wanted to take a gap year after graduating high school. One of the main reasons for this was that I wanted to learn new skills, and I wanted to see whether I liked applied physics. At that time, I was really into applied physics. I wanted to see whether I wanted to do that and pursue that as a career. And then I also wanted to explore my new areas of interest, like 3D designing and entrepreneurship. I wanted to gain new life experiences by going through this process. And also, I think I would say, I just wanted to take a break from exams and school and all that as well. And my parents have been very supportive throughout this journey from this year. And my grandparents have also come on board. And it's been really great so far.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think it's very important to acknowledge the support we all get from our families, and I did allude to it in the beginning. What about you, Divu? Yeah. I mean, how was why did you choose, and what were you thinking of gap year?
I wouldn't actually call it a gap year. I had very earlier decided that college is not something I want to do. And I decided this around my actually 11th, 12th, and this is where I am. So I said I don't want to do college because I never enjoyed the process of writing exams and studying. And I really wanted this time, whether I was not sure whether it was going to be a gap year or 2 years or 3 years, but I just wanted to figure out what I want to do in my life. And I think I can very confidently say, like, this time has possibly been the best time of my life. It's taught me a lot. And like Prahladh mentioned, and like you mentioned earlier, it the factors that allow you to do this are very important. And I feel like you mentioned, family plays a big role. Immediate family, parents being supportive, and that plays a huge role. So yeah, this is. I just wanted to explore everything that I wanted to do in the future. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like the fact that you're enjoying this process. I think it's very important in any learning journey that the learner gets to actually be excited by the things that they're doing in any period. What about you, Namya? I know you went to college, but subsequently you took a break here, and then now you're pursuing a master's. Well, share with us some of your thoughts and experiences.
Well, interestingly, I actually wanted to take a gap year after high school because I wanted to study and get into a really good university. But unfortunately, I didn't do that. In hindsight, I should have. I should have just, pitched it properly to my parents and said, I could have done it. But that didn't happen. After college, again, I didn't choose the gap year. It actually chose me. I took it because I didn't want to compromise. I knew that I wanted to apply to this specific program at this specific degree at Sweden. It's called Karolinska. And just because I didn't want to compromise and I realized this is where my passion lies and this is what I want to do in life, I said, I'm going to take the gap year to understand myself and realize if this is truly what I wanted to pursue. And in this gap year, do something related to that so I get in the next year. So this is why I actually took the gap year. But I will go on to say that it was one of the best things that I did and I learned a lot in this process.
Thank you for that, Namya. I think, while you're very appreciative of the bridge year you did at Beyond Date, I think it's one of the key things that you're touching upon here is that you didn't let the destination decide what you would do. I think you accepted the situation and recognized that as long as you were learning useful skills along the way and embracing what was thrown at you, the opportunities that presented themselves. I think the key takeaway for me from that is that you were a continuous learner without keeping an end in mind. You were, pursuing your interests and your goals. So thank you all three of you for your different perspectives on that question. So the next question that I have here is. What did you do? What are you doing during this time? What were the skills you learned in this period that has passed when you have sort of taken control of your learning? And what are the things that you're learning during this time? And how are you benefiting from those skills for your future? Does that make sense? The question, we can start with Divu, mix it up a little, and then go to Prahladh and then to Namya this time. Do you want me to repeat the question, Divya?
Actually, no. I heard you. There are a lot of things that I'm doing, and I feel like this period has helped me figure out. It's given me clarities, and in fact, thrown ideas every day. So like I mentioned earlier, exams and college was something I didn't want to do. But what also pushed me to do what I want to do right now is also this thing of I went on an internship. I spent 2 months interning in 2 different places, and the experience and the learning that gave me, and the joy it brought to me when it came to engaging with people and all, really wanted me, that's what got me to take this time and do what I want to do. So if I think about it, well, right now there's a lot of planning going on in my head. I want to do this, after the lockdown, I want to travel, I want to meet, go to these places, meet people. And right now, like you had mentioned, there is, I am doing a course right now called from Coursera, International women's health and human rights. But this time also got me to really figure out what I want to do. So, in fact, I did pick up a bachelor's degree course after, when I just started wanting to do this gap year. And I worked for a year and a half, and then I was not very happy because, very honestly, there were a lot of other things that I felt were happening really good, and everything that I gave it my all. So, music, dance, Kuti Kuti Aase. In fact, Kuti Kuti Aase actually came up in this idea with a website all because of this time I took. I never really thought I would, have a website for it and all. And of course, a huge part of my time also goes into working with children, which I'm doing right now. And it's been a beautiful experience. So I think all these things put together, every day is opening up new ideas. So I'm just generally very thrilled about how it's going and
Wonderful,
looking
wonderful.
forward.
I think it's a very important point you make that one is about, of course, you started by saying that you don't like exams. I don't think anybody likes exams. Exams are fundamentally only a sorting system. They don't tell you anything about how good you are at anything. They just compare you to somebody else instead, right? So I don't know a soul that honestly enjoys writing exams, and there is no value to the person's development and self-worth by taking exams. And the other point you make, which is very much more important, is that every time you did something, you were really evaluating whether you were finding interest in it, you were benefiting from those experiences, and you let the journey evolve rather than define the journey by saying at the end of 4 years I'll get to this certificate program, which is what typical education systems recommend. You've allowed yourself to learn from the various experiences, and you're finding out a lot about yourself and your interests and how to take them forward from that. So that's thank you for that. Very insightful that is. I'd like Prahladh also to take a shot at the same question. I'm just going to ask it again. How is this period helping you in your journey going forward?
Unlike Namya and Divya, who have engaged with people and have traveled, my gap year was spent at home. Since COVID happened, I had no other choice but to stay at home. So during this time, I developed my own face mask called Be Cool Mask. And because of COVID, a lot of fear has been instilled into people, and wearing masks became an absolute necessity. So even before I started working on this project, I heard many people complaining that the existing masks that were available there in the market, people wearing it, they didn't feel comfortable at all. And over the period of time after they wear it, there's a lot of moisture being built up inside the mask. So people would often have to remove the mask and wear it back again. So this would allow a lot of unfiltered air going into the mouth and your nose. So to tackle all these issues, I developed my mask using a 3D designing software called Autodesk Fusion 360. So the mask has an active ventilation system, which is a fan that sucks out the warm air from the inside and lets cool air go in. So this whole system is powered by a rechargeable battery that is attached on the mask itself. There's also a filter sheet that is attached on the inside of the mask that clears pathogens that are present in the incoming and outgoing air. And after that, I've also designed a front cover that will be attached on the front side of the mask. So this basically protects the circuitry that is attached on the mask and offers an overall aesthetic appeal. So initially, the first few months I spent just designing the mask itself. Then the next stage was prototyping. I acquired a 3D printer with which I've been prototyping. And initially, the mask that I designed was just way too big. It just wouldn't fit anyone at all. Okay. So, I had to change it. I had to change the shape and the contours and all that. And I think I have at least 5 to 6 versions of the mask printed before the actual one that I have right now. So I had to go through a lot of iterations and change. And that's something that I had to learn from my previous mistakes and all that. And I had to experience that, moving forward. And
I think you make a I think you make a very, very important point, Prahladh. Which is, you were learning on as you went along, you were trying to figure it out, correcting your mistakes. I mean, there's no better learning than that. You were not relying on a curriculum to tell you what to do or how to do it. You were actually going ahead and trialing your ideas. You were well supported by, and the other point you make is you've been at home only, unlike the others. They've had some amount of this time that they were managing themselves before COVID came about, and so you had to sort of take on more than one challenge, which is you have to do all of your trials by sitting at home, and also at the same time sort of keep yourself innovating all the time from the things that you're learning. Before we go to Namya, there are a couple of questions, one of which I certainly can answer. One question is from Ruchi Sharma. So did these 3 kids all do traditional schooling? I wouldn't call any of their schooling traditional. All 3 of them had the benefit of an education and a benefit of a family background that were very supportive of who they are and recognized them for who they were. I think it's very, very critical that children, to be change makers, must first be enabled and supported and recognized as people who are wonderful already, and it's not for schools and parents to reshape them into something else that they are not. So they didn't go to traditional education.
Can I interrupt you?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
I said, can I interrupt you?
Please go ahead.
Because you said about traditional education system. In fact, it was not always that immediately we were with people who were supportive with this idea and all. In fact, I began in a mainstream school till about 5th standard, and then moved into an alternate space, and that really changed it for me. So
I think it's in these journeys that many start out by just going to a neighborhood school, and typically neighborhood schools have all been around a curriculum, a syllabus, and other things. I think that transition certainly would have made a huge difference when you see that there is a new way to a space where you're recognized for who you already are and who you want to become, rather than how everybody could look the same and know the same, right? I'm going to just continue push on with that question, Namya, just for the benefit of the audience again. What were the skills you learned during that period you took as a bridge year with Beyond 8, and how is that exciting you in going forward in your passions and interests?
Okay, so going into the gap year, I was clear about one thing, that I would have like a healthy work and fun, lifestyle. Because I was complaining through 4 years of college, and I didn't want to do that in 1 year I have for myself. So whatever I wanted to do something that I truly enjoyed, and I put my best foot forward for it. So I did work with Naveen Anna, Raji Auntie, everyone from Beyond 8, and I also worked in another project of theirs called Militwa. And I love working with kids, so I co-assisted my cousin's growth and development through this therapy called ABA. And for the fun bit of it, I started surfing. It was like a 2-year dream in college to start doing that, and I did that. And I also went on a mission to try and rate all the restaurants in Chennai. I learned a lot in this process, like a lot of skills I picked up. And one thing that actually strikes a chord with me is that I became more patient. It's like when I took a gap year, I had an end goal at the end of it. I did. It varies for everyone, but I personally had a goal. So it actually made me a lot more patient and understanding, and that things take their own time, and you just have to be in the moment and enjoy life. So I think that would have been.
I think it's life is. Can be lived only by having many experiences like you have had, and I think it's important to enjoy these experiences and not go through the motion of life because someone else has scripted it for you or for society, right? So I think it's great that you had a lot of time to figure out your interests and pursue some of them with great rigor. So there are a couple of questions. I'm just going to pop them to you rather than try and answer them myself. There's one question from Chris, which says, how would you handle a situation where you have 3 or more job opportunities and need to choose one, but all are equally good? I don't know if you heard the question. I'm going to ask it again. Question from Chris: how would you handle a situation where you have 3 or more job opportunities and need to choose one, but all are equally good? Namya, you want to take a shot at it?
Yes, I was
Go
in
ahead.
a situation and I chose the people. So I felt the culture and the people I'm going to work with is going to influence how I grow and my personal satisfaction working for them or, just growing as a person. So of course I chose Beyond 8, Namya, Rajanti are like some of the best people I know and I chose
So sweet.
that and people,
Oh,
networking with people was my criteria.
well, would you also like to answer, Divya? Want to take a shot at it? You
If I
have
had
had
to choose,
experiences both at Snehadara and at the school, and
yes,
perhaps others also. Why didn't you? And now Kuti Kuti says so.
yes. If I had
Maybe
to choose, which would it be, and would it be easy choosing? Absolutely not. It would. It. I can't imagine me choosing any of the 10 things that I'm interested in. I feel like, honestly speaking, it's very difficult. Like, that's what I feel like. It's not one day where I get up and feel, okay, today I'm only going to do one thing. Like, I'm
yeah.
interested in music, I'm only going to do one thing. I just feel like there is music, I can't let that go. My interest in Snehadara is very high, I can't let that go. So I don't think decision making as far as these are concerned is easy for me. I feel like I have to do all the 10, like all the 10 things and do it as excitedly. So yeah.
No, you make an important point, which is there's no either or in life always, right? I think it's Namya also sort of alluded to it. When she did surfing, she had so many different interests. She was working in an entrepreneurship venture at one level. She was doing teaching in various kinds of all socioeconomic groups of schools, teaching entrepreneurship herself, managing team of teams. You were teaching in a school. You're teaching a specific age group of children through the arts-based therapy at Snehadara. I think it's not an either or in the future also. For young people, it's very important to have a range of interests and, you could learn something very deeply and then find out down the road that that's entirely an automated world that you're walking towards, right? So having that range also sort of gives you a wider scope of things to do. There's another question here for positive time. I'm just going to move to the another question, which is from Vidya Ravi. She asks, never let school interfere with education is something that I often keep reminding myself. What is your view on this? Prahladh, I noticed you had dropped off. I think there was an internet issue. Did you get the question, and would you like to take a shot at it? The question again is, never let school interfere with education is something Vidya hears a lot, and she says, what is your view on that?
Traditional education mainly focuses on like instilling actual subjects like math, science into your head, right? But then for me, I think true education is something that should come out of you, like show your creativity and your passion. So I think that's the main difference between school education and like truly what you want to do.
Wonderfully answered. I think I cannot agree with you more. Don't and Vidya, if I can re-say what he said more articulately, he is. It's important to be able to keep that fire burning inside you and keep pursuing your interests and passions. And a lot of these subjects that we compulsorily have children study in school education should not sort of define you and decide where your own interests and pursuits go. Would either of you, Namya or Divya, also want to respond to that question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Divya.
I have 2-3 things. So will you rephrase your like you ask me the question again and I'll tell you.
Sorry, I didn't get what you said.
Can you repeat the question and I'll tell
Yeah, I'll
you
repeat the
because
question. The question from Vidya is, she says, never let school interfere with education is something that often I keep reminding myself. What is your view on this?
I would. Okay, this is a little tough question. a tough question for me to answer.
No, I mean there's no
Um,
one right answer. She's just expressing at one level her own view that what she has heard and hearing in her mind, which is don't let school education. I think when she says education, she's defining it by curriculum and very traditional form of what we think of as
yeah.
schooling.
So the traditional aspect of the curriculum, that coming in the way of learning something, that is something that of course it's always better than that doesn't happen. When there is a fixed thing you have to learn this way, math, science, and English are the only things you have to learn, then it comes in the way. But what it also I feel does, so I can't say schooling or school in general, because I feel like what I am today is a lot to do with the way my schooling has been. In the sense that it's been more than academics, it's been a lot more than academics, experiences that I could possibly never think of getting anywhere else. So I feel like the learning aspect of it is going to always continue. There are a lot of things.
I think the distinction you're making is between education and learning. Learning is so much more than just an academic curriculum mastery, right? So you had the benefit of being around people. Namya also alluded to it, and Prahladh also said, keep that fire burning inside you and don't let the system define you. I think that's very important, and learning is so much more than just the academic content. So there's lots of questions pouring in, so I'm really going to move on to another one. Question from Shubha is, how do you keep yourself motivated in this self-study journey that you're all on at some level? Is that strategies and what worked for you all? Maybe each of you could just say any one point that comes to mind first.
Okay, I'll start. It's hard. At the first month of my gap year, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just sitting at home, like on Netflix, reading books and all, yes, but it wasn't like there was no plan to it. I was just, going with the flow. But however, that's not advice for a lengthy period of time. But I think the key was to keep yourself with people who are learning or always in the continuous learning journey, and just reading books that inspire you. Like I think I started reading Malcolm Gladwell, and the way he looks at everything is just so inspiring to me, and that I think pushed me to like do stuff and learn new stuff. So I guess just have some sort of inspiration, anything. It can be through reading or like cooking.
Wonderful. I think the takeaway for me is be around people that are also continuously learning.
Exactly.
I think that sort of inspires you to get out of the Netflixes and be among others that are learning. Prahladh, what's your take on that? How do you keep yourself motivated in this period when you're trying to figure almost all of the things you're having to figure out? You probably can rely on your parents some amount and grandparents and your sibling, but how do you keep yourself motivated?
I mean, obviously, my parents have been a huge support and a motivator for me throughout this period. And I've also read a lot of self-help books and I've seen a lot of motivational videos online that have propelled me throughout this, this period. And I think also the sense of actually trying to learn a new skill and trying to finally achieve it, I think that also helped me push me forward to actually go through this whole process.
Okay. There's an interesting question that I'm going to ask. I think it's important to answer. How do you handle reactions from people for whom these choices that you made may not have fit into their worldview? I know, Prahladh, in our earlier conversations, you've alluded to it. When people said, is this even a good choice? Naturally, if you don't do what everybody does, everyone's scared about what you're doing, and their concern comes out as do what's done traditionally, not otherwise. Would anyone want to take a first shot at it?
I think everyone wants to.
Everyone wants. Why don't we all have one shot and then bring this session to a close? Yeah, go ahead, Divya.
Okay, so just very quickly, before I answer this question, I wanted to say something answering your previous question about what motivates you. I think I'll quickly say that. So there are two parts to this. Initially, when I began and I had taken up this BSW social work course, I would really require motivation to sit at the end of the day with such big books and sit and open it and study. There was a lot of effort that was required there. But that was the initial part of it when I was still figuring out, is this really what I want to do? Then, as time progressed and I found more interesting things that I was working with, motivation became very easy. And honestly, two, three things motivated me, okay, to continue what I am doing, which was one is because I work with children at Snehadara, it is very motivating each day when I get up and I'm like, okay, I have another session with a child today. It can be anything. It can be the smile of the child. It can be a song that we're doing together. That motivation comes a lot from the children or anybody that I'm working with. And second comes with my own the journey with Kuti Kuti aspect because there is that motivation, like I have to finish this and then I have to, figure out doing this in a different design, I have to paint something. So there's always the motivation there. So that is for the previous question. I just wanted to answer that.
Wonderful.
And for this question, I think all of us grinned, so I think we can write a book about how people's reaction to choices. It's not been particularly easy. I initially there was a lot of this, talking to yourself, saying that are you even on the right path? This is clearly not something which majority of your friend circle is doing, or so you're at one part of it. See, touchwood, there are a group of friends, given CFL and the education, who understand and who are on the same path, or maybe try something different and all. But a group of people who are going to college, so already when you start talking, they're like, okay, there's something different about you. So initially that would really bother. But this was the friend aspect of it. And family, I mean, extended family, that was challenging as well because from either hearing random comments about ayo pavam college pole to it's okay, just do up a degree. It's like 3-4 years, finish off the degree, you'll be fine. So all these things, plus some people who decide that they have to give you a lot of gyan. That's also happened where they feel like, really you need somebody who has to talk to you and tell you about life. And that also happens. But
I think your point, if you think about it, there's just so much willful blindness in society. We just go by what we see and what we know, rather than what's real and what works for different people. Yeah. So it's at some level. People tend to just say, "Oh, I thought everybody goes to college, so naturally, when somebody doesn't go to college, are we supposed to feel sorry for that person?"
It really. Yeah, it really feels like it's. See, that's a bit sad. The minute you have an alternate choice, if people are going to look at you like there's something weird about you, that's a bit sad. Like that accepting of that acceptance of this is your choice and I stand by you. And what makes a huge difference, which has really helped me, has been from beginning where it used to annoy me, hurt me, and I just be like, see, we're not included in this, or this thought is not understood, to now having that self-confidence, which is really pushing me, that is actually taking me through. When I'm like, I just really don't care what you say or think because it's my life and I'm.
You shouldn't. I think you're absolutely right. You found out a lot about how people evaluate ideas, evaluate your choice or other people's choices, and like I alluded to in the beginning, it's so important. The three of you come from families that are themselves big thinkers, big on. Thinking through critically rather than just fitting in. So it helps to have parents like yours always telling you that, you're right, you're the champion in the house. What about you, Prahladh? How would you respond to that question? In case you want me to repeat the question, I can. The question was, okay, we've had a ton of questions. How do you handle reactions from people for the choices that you've made? You did talk about it earlier. Why don't you Let's start with that question.
I did have a little bit of criticism from my grandparents initially a little bit. So I had to explain why I was taking the gap year and all that.
Yeah.
But after a certain period of time, they also got on board with it. So in terms of my family, they really didn't. They were really supportive. So I didn't have any negative feedback from any of them. My friends were also a little bit skeptical about what I would be doing during this period of time. And since COVID happened, I wasn't there. There were not a lot of opportunities for me to pursue during this period of time. I had to stay home and just I couldn't do anything. So most of them are also starting colleges. So I think I was the only one who was not going to college this year among my batch. So in that regard, I just blocked out all that noise and I just focused on what I was doing.
Beautiful. How nicely put. Locked out all that noise. I think Divya also was sort of saying, it makes you a stronger person. You start believing in yourself and be real with your experiences and the opportunities that come your way, and evaluate them for what you see and what you experience rather than what other people are telling you. Namya, would you? I know you dropped off in between, but did you get the question?
I'm so sorry about that. Yes, I got the question. I, unlike both of you, actually went through my college years, so I found a loophole in the system. I didn't tell most that I took a gap year. I just said I started working. But however, I did face a lot of things for being stubborn about what I wanted to study. I was very particular, and this was the only course I even applied to. I was like, either it's this or I'm just going to, enjoy life and work and learn more. So everyone thought I was pretty stubborn. They were like, there's so much more stuff to life. You can study whatever you want. Why this? So I had to be like, yes, this is what I want to do. I know I will do it really well. So that's the thing I faced. But it makes you believe a lot in yourself and understand that.
I think that sense of believing in oneself is so important, right? Everybody's school education itself, at some level, all this formal education itself is a backup. If you don't do anything, at least you'll get a job. At least you'll get this. At least you'll get that. So when I hear you say I applied only to one course and it was either that or nothing, it sort of makes you also work with a lot of clarity and purpose towards the things that you really want in life. Yeah. I'm going to quickly check if we have a little more time because there's lots of questions. Let me just sift through some of these questions. There's another one which says gap year has become a cool concept. Do you think it would work across the board for everybody? I will say that a gap year is not to be considered as a travel year so much. I think just going from the 3 stars we have with us today, they didn't just spend most of it on Netflix and traveling. They've actually pursued their interests and they've had a wide range of experiences, been very supported by their families. It's important to sort of keep thinking about what are all the different experiences and pursuits and interests that they want to have and pursue them. Would any of you also take a shot at it? The question is, gap year has become a cool concept. Do you think it would work across the board?
I agree, it is a cool concept because no one's, it's very new, so it's obviously cool. But I agree with Naveen and I, it's like you have to go in with some sort of plan, some, idea on what you want to pursue. You can't just say you're going to wing it because I think you'll end up doing just Netflix and going out and partying or something like that, which is fine. You could do that, but it's good to, work.
I see Divya wanting to say something there, so let's let her finish and you get in.
No, I did that, so it's fine. But I guess, yes, to have an interest and do something, fruitful is something that you need to look at.
Go ahead, Divya.
I was very excited with the question. I think it's the coolest thing you can do. And I think everybody should, it depends now, person to person. It depends what you want to do. But it could be after your 12th, it could be after your 10th, or just generally, where you just want that time to figure out what you want to do. And I think, of course, like Namya also said, the easy way would be you end up chilling in, Netflix, going out. That is one thing, and that's also very fun. But at the same time, no, it opens up so many levels of interest and learnings that I don't think anything can. Like if you're in your routine, like I'm just hypothetically imagining if I was pushed into college to do a 4-year course, I don't think I would be thinking the way I'm thinking now. And
Yeah.
either it could be like also COVID has really helped in the sense, you're away from things like I wanted to travel this year, I can't. Then you're really focusing on this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like it really gives you that. It's very exciting. I think definitely you should try it.
And also the other point, Divya, which is there's so much statistics that college is actually a risky option because there's too many. Stats say that 78% of the people that go on to study one thing go on to vocations which have nothing to do with what they studied. So if you're going to study something that has nothing to do with if you're going to do jobs which have nothing to do with what you studied, you might as well study something that you're actually interested in. Perhaps you'll have better experiences and better takeaways from them also, right?
And just to
Prahladh,
add
go
to
ahead.
that, I think parents should also trust their kids, right? Like whoever's trying to take the gap year, I think they should have a strong motive and a strong why as to why they're taking the gap year.
Right.
And I think they should, try to use the year to develop actual skills, because nowadays skills is what is more valuable, right? It's more valuable than knowledge. So I think
I'll both agree and disagree there, Prahladh. The reason is when you're very clear, it obviously, it makes a lot of sense to sort of chart out your own path. When you're unclear, it is even more dangerous to get into a system where you don't know nothing about, right? So I would say, in my personal views, that I'm glad that you three did what you did, and I hope more children, go the same route. So I'm going to sort of, there's one last question that's there that we may be able to sort of get in here. What would you say you would need from your parents beyond their support to help you in this journey? I don't know, it may be a difficult question. What would you say you would need from your parents beyond their support to help you in this journey? I'm not sure anyone understood the question. I'm not able to. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I had the luck of working, so I was financially independent. But else, you would need a financial support to go through the gap year, because it is important, because you would like to try new stuff, and basically yes, it helps you try new stuff. Apart from that, apart from support, I would say, I don't know, they should push us to do more, not just support us where we are.
But the question is, beyond their support, what would you get from your want from your parents? So I'm also trying to think, what could that be? Because I mean, love and affection, and recognizing that you're all individuals in your own right, and I used to tell a lot of people, we are not here to remold another human being. We're here to just recognize and celebrate the children among us, and cherish and enjoy their company more than anything else. So I don't know if we can even answer that question. So I'm going to try and wrap this up. I want to thank all three of you for sharing your different perspectives and your journey. It's very important for more young learners who are either in high school or just out of high school to also think a little bit about the things that you have touched upon, the kind of support you have from your families. It's important for families also to recognize that, enabling a young person to become successful also has a lot to do with the families that are behind them, to recognize them as champions, recognize them as individuals with likes and interests and pursuits and dreams and passions, right? So I'm really thankful to all three of you for being here today. If there are more questions, maybe I will get them out to you and try and request you to answer those questions. Namya, thank you. I know it's still early in Sweden at this time. Thank you for joining us at this early hour. Stay warm, stay safe. I don't know how the COVID situation there is, but it's like wildfire here. So I think it's important all of us be safe, take care of ourselves and each other. And I'm going to now request my colleague. There's one thing I want to do before we go off. I want to show Be Cool masks. It's all Prahlad's already done some work on it, and it's important we show that here. Can we bring that screen up for our viewers? I'm gonna see if I can do that. Okay. I think we're having perhaps some difficulty bringing it on. Never mind. Please do check Be Cool Mask online. And if you want to reach out to Prahladh, always just come back to the stream and just post us a message. We'll also post the link to his website and his product. I hope we all sort of take the cue from Prahladh, being the youngest of the three of them, that rely on yourself, take the support of your parents, and trust in yourself and keep evolving as you go along. So I'm going to request my colleague Vimal to wrap up the show. And I hope all of you keep coming back to more out-of-the-box sessions with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Namya, Prahladh, and Divya. It was a lovely conversation to listen to. We started off the session with two questions in our mind. A, should we allow our teenagers, or rather, should teenagers dabble in different areas of interest, get expert views, get to work with experts, especially in the space, before chalking out their path in higher education? That was the first question we had. The second question we had was, should parents actually enable their children or teenagers to prepare for a life after high school by taking a year off, taking a gap year? I think from this conversation, it's pretty clear, right? One, this may not be a solution for all. Like one of the audience members pointed out, it may sound cool, but it may not be for you. But then if you're very clear in your mind, that's something Naveen clearly said. If you're very clear in your mind, you know that there's a direction that you want to go, and you want to pursue that or pursue 2 or 3 options during the gap year, then it may be a good option for you. If this interests you, do visit beyond8.in. We've tried to put together a lot of information on what are the possibilities of gap years or bridge programs in India. Very clearly, these programs are not something meant for Netflixing or traveling around, but to pursue your passions and seek if there's a direction that you really want to get into. So go to beyond8.in and look for the bridge program. There's some information that's available. We're also putting together a program in Chennai for students who are here and who want to take a gap year, right? So that's about today's session on bridging the gap between your high school graduation and entering college. We've had to move our schedule a little bit. We were originally planning to talk about curriculum today. Due to the pandemic situation, we had to move the speakers around. So most likely next week we will be talking about curriculum, the role of curriculum and role of teaching in high school, and how do you really judge a school based on their curriculum and teaching styles. That's for next week. All right. Do continue following us. This is part of the second season of Out of the Box. We have about 5 episodes planned. 3 of them are done. We've got 2 more coming up. If you've missed this episode, you can always rewind back on Facebook Live or go to our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, this is the time for you to do that. Lovely. All right. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being with us in this session. Hopefully we will see you next week at 11 a.m. on our Facebook Live session. Thank you.